Okay, recording in progress.
Okay.
Hi, Hannah.
Hi.
Welcome to today's session. What we're doing today is we're recording a coaching session, which is probably going to be around 45 minutes of coaching and then 15 minutes of a bit of a debrief between the two of us. I'm going to be the coach today. You're going to be my coachee today. And we're doing this for the purpose of showing people what a coaching conversation can look like. Every coaching conversation is different, but there seems to be a lot of folks out there that don't really quite know what they can expect. So this is for the purpose of, I guess, educating people. Um, and yeah, things to note. We're both coaches, so we both know what we're doing. So that might mean that the coaching conversation might be slightly different to someone that hasn't ever done coaching before, because you will know you might react to my questioning a little bit different than other people might. We also don't usually do this, like we wouldn't just record any coaching session and putting it out there into the world, because it's all very confidential, but we've decided to do this. You've brought a sort of real life topic that we're going to talk through, just yeah, for the purpose of that educational piece. Would you like to add anything?
No, I think you captured it perfectly.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get started. Let's start by checking in with you to see how you're arriving today.
Um, I I'm excited about this. I'm excited to be talking about this because yeah, it's Monday, 11 a.m. I did my weekly planning this morning already, and I'm kind of and one thing I noticed there too is like I'm all over the place and scattered with like so many small things. And that has been annoying. And so I think some of that, and I don't exactly know what we're going to be talking about yet today. So I look forward to figuring that out with you too. But so I've been, of course, already, since this was on our calendar, like starting to think about it, but also I don't like thinking ahead too much because then I think sometimes it takes away a little bit the magic of the actual
Mm.
coaching conversation of keeping all the things open and not getting into problem solving mode myself. So Um, I'm excited to be having this conversation, but I'm also always nervous about it because it is always an unknown. Like I have no idea. I mean, part of me knows like where we're going to be going, but I don't know what the outcome of today is going to be. And
Okay.
that always makes me a little bit nervous when I can't think ahead. But I know that at the end I will feel um I was gonna say better, but now I'm looking for a better word that's not just better, but um yeah, more clear, I guess. I hope.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm. Okay, thank you. Um, I'm just going to recap a little bit what you told me, just to reflect back to you what I understand
mhm.
or what I understood. So you said you're really excited that we are having this chat today. There's things that you want to work through. You're not really quite sure where it's going to go or what exactly is going to come out. You've been trying to not get too far ahead of yourself, because that takes away that little bit of magic that usually comes out through those conversations. You've also explained that you feel a little bit scattered. There's been lots of things going on. Yeah, you're in a different time zone than I am. It's 11 a.m. Monday. For
Mhm.
me, I've already done a whole day. Um, so you're saying that sort of scatteredness and the things that are going on has been a little bit annoying for you. Um,
Mhm.
and then on top of that, you're saying that that sort of unknown, what I've just mentioned earlier, the not knowing where this is going to lead us, um, it kind of makes you a little bit nervous. So, considering all of those things, um, what do you need from me today as your coach?
I know you were going to ask, and I love and hate the question.
You and me both.
Um, I need from you um, some space to explore those things and just see what does come up. But
Hmm.
then also, I would like to just for things to just also narrow down in the end. Like I'd like to walk away with something specific. Um, that's like either like a specific action plan or like a clear, it doesn't have to be a plan, but like a clear, here's what I'm going to do, like a clear, I don't know how to phrase that. Um, a decision or like an intention maybe.
Okay.
And so also helping me kind of lead towards that. Um, I think also because kind of how I said there's so many different pieces connected, like I could use a little bit of challenge, I guess sometimes when you're feeling like I'm not saying something or you're noticing I'm um like stumbling over something and it's like clearly hard, just like
Hmm.
then yes, like have me go there. Um
Okay.
like I don't want to shy away from saying, yeah, naming things that just might be ugh. And then I keep thinking about like the emotions thing because often for me in coaching specifically, it's like oh, and I find it so annoying. It's like, of course, there's a stupid emotion in the way that I just need to say out loud or um and so I guess maybe being on the lookout for either when I say emotions words or even saying because I'm also not very good at naming specifically what it is. So I just might feel like feels yucky or you know, good or bad.
Hmm.
And so feel free to kind of, yeah, I don't know what exactly it's going to look like, but just like challenge me in those moments. Like when your own curiosity pops up and you're like, huh, there's something there. Like I want you to go after that.
Okay. Okay, cool. Thank you. That's really helpful to know. So what you like to get out of this today is like, or from me today, is just that space for exploration, sort of free exploration, just seeing what comes up, where this leads. Um, but you were very specific in sort of saying that what you want to come out with is you want to walk away with something said. So
Hmm.
it's like it doesn't even have to have necessarily an action plan, but an intention or a decision, something that you can sort of lean on as you walk out of the session, to give you more clarity. I'm paraphrasing here, that's not exactly the words you
Hmm.
used, but I hope this is roughly um correct.
Yep. Yep. Yes. And I think it'll like once we and I have like as I'm hearing you say like I'm seeing it's almost like this visual like off the topic, just like there's like the surface level stuff and then there's like the topic beneath that is like bubbling to the surface. And so I think once we get into like what am I actually talking about, then we can also probably get a bit more clear on what I actually want as an outcome because
Yeah.
that's hard to say right now when I don't even know it's exactly what kind of the problem statement is.
Okay. The other things that you said were you want a sort of like a certain level of challenge, um, when it seems like you're not saying something, or when it seems like it's hard to sort of dig a
Hmm.
little bit deeper and potentially even bring in the emotions, because that's something that usually holds a lot for you, but you don't necessarily naturally go there or can articulate it very well. So
Hmm.
I'll watch out for that, and
Okay.
we'll dig in where we need to dig in.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Great. So in terms of what um you've already said you kind of don't know exactly what you want to talk about, but do you want to maybe give a bit of a summary of the thoughts that you already had so we can get into the detail and figure it out?
Yep. So number one, it just all connects with what I'm saying about like just being scattered. I feel like, and I've felt like this for a few weeks, I don't have like a topic I'm into. I am not like I don't have when I look at my weekly plans, it's just like all of these individual action items, but there's no connecting thread. There's no one major project, I guess, that I'm working on. Um, which I love to do. Like I like, I like to be in like tunnel vision a little bit on a
Hmm.
specific project that I'm going deep into in all the directions. And I'm finding myself just latching onto random things that are like eh, that that I don't want to spend so much of my time on, but I'm I just end up spending so much time on it because I'm like looking for something to like draw me in. Um, but then it's like little silly art projects, which it's wonderful that I'm making little art projects, but like I don't want to be spending my time is like going in different directions where I want it to be. So that's like on the surface level,
Hmm.
that's just like frustrating me a little bit. And then when I ask myself, well, what is the one big project that you could be working on? Then that is very clear that this is like the tricky part because it's the thing I want to be working on, but I also don't want to be working on because I keep getting stuck. Which is for I don't even know how long now, but for months I've been here's my dog coming in again too. Just,
That's okay.
um, while he's just whining, it's one thing, but if he starts barking, then it's just so loud for everybody and distracting for me. Okay, actually, I'm gonna go get him a treat real quick.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I'm just gonna go on mute and he'll be
No
right.
worries.
How not to train your dog is by, giving him the stuff that he wants when he's annoying you. Um, but whatever, it's what I need right now. So for months and months, I have been wanting to create a group coaching program.
Mhm.
And I have spent so much time already thinking about it, working on it, learning about it, reading about it, drafting different things. And then I think back, I don't know, a few weeks ago, I, yeah, again, spent a bunch of time on it, made a lot of progress, and then I haven't again looked at it for a few weeks. And so like I have it all like in my little notebook here, my pink one is for stuff like that. And last thing I did is like I created an empathy map and I even have like all the next steps. I wrote down the journey and whatnot, but it's just like I oh, it's not I want what do I want? I'm having a hard time just picking up it again. Like I wish it was just, ooh, Monday, I'm sitting down, let's get to work on it and see what fun things we can do here. Um, and I don't quite know what um I know some things that are like getting in the way. And so I don't even know if it's and I think part of why I don't want to bring it today, like it's clearly the thing that I want to bring. Like this is what I mean. Like if I didn't think about it through before because I didn't want to, but now that I'm saying it, it's like, okay, I hear myself say it. This is the topic. Um, and because I've picked it up so many times and then dropped it again, I think part of what I'm worried about too is that we will come up with a good plan. I will pick it up again and I'll work on it for the next couple of weeks and then I'll drop it again. And it'll be, I don't know, June. next year by the time that I launch it,
Mhm.
when I could have already put something out there. Like I have so much information and clear picture already of what I want to do. That's like the piece that's a little bit annoying, is that I, not like I should have done it already, but like I could have done it already. Like I have enough that I could have already said weeks ago, I have a pilot who wants to come and join me. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah.
Okay. So what I hear is that there is a lot of thoughts going on for both things. So you started off by telling me that number one, of the possible topics is just that feeling of being scattered that you referenced earlier as you entered into this conversation. That sort of you feel like you're just latching onto things. I think those were your words.
Hmm.
You don't have a topic that you're into, not one major thing that is demanding your attention, and you do like that. You do like going into it and nothing else. Um,
Hmm.
you said you're looking for something to draw you in. And then topic number two, which sounds like it has definitely drawn you in, but it's also
Hmm.
kind of dropping you in a sense, again, by what you've
Hmm.
explained, which is one big project, which is what you said you've been working on for months now, is this idea of putting out a group coaching program. And there is, you said quite a few times here, like, I do want to talk about it, but I also do not want to talk about it. And I do want to do it, but I also really don't want to do it. And
Yeah.
there was like that sort of energy that came out in you as well. You're laughing at That's why I'm
Yeah,
laughing.
'cause it's true. Yeah.
And you even hit a point where you were talking about there's so much like thinking and drafting that's already happened. And you said I wish it was like a Monday and I could just say, okay, let's just work on it. And when you were trying to figure out what it is that's sort of keeping you in that sort of back and forth, there was a moment where you were just, I guess it almost felt like I really just don't know. Like almost a little bit defeated, maybe. And I might be wrong. That's what I perceived. Um,
Yeah,
I
hold on.
can see you thinking,
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, it's and again, it's like I'm so annoyed that these thoughts come up. I'm so annoyed at my own thoughts sometimes because I don't defeated isn't quite it, but
Mhm.
self-trust is like the piece that came up right away. Like it just takes so much. Sometimes I feel like it takes so much energy to get started on something, to keep going with something, to turn it into something, to really to think about, to be mindful of how I like to work and how my own brain works, that I do. So for example, like when I say I could have put something out months ago, on the one hand, I know I don't well, I don't want to create something perfect right away, or I don't want perfectionism to get in the way, I guess, this idea of what's perfect.
Mhm.
So I'm trying to think about, well, how can I, not like do a bare minimum, but something that's good, but also solid. Um, yeah, good and solid, but also simple enough that I could do one iteration and then see how it goes, get some feedback, improve it, you know, see what people even want to do. But then there's this other part of me that just loves going into it so deep. And I like thinking about all of the million different options I could do and looking at all of the different, things I could bring in. And maybe I want to bring in art and maybe I want to bring in this and how can I make it even better? And what's like the vision and how do I want to go about it? And and part of me also really enjoys that, because not out of that, it needs to be perfect kind of view, but from the, I enjoy being in that space and thinking about it. But then sometimes it's like, this is also connected to my business. And like at some point, I need to be able to draw a line and move it forward and do something with it. Um, and it just feels, it costs so much energy for me. I sometimes just wish I could just have an action plan, you know, clear timeline, working backwards schedule, and just do the things. But unfortunately, that's just not how I mean, fortunately slash unfortunately, that's not how I work. And so when it draws me in, then I'm having a great time, but also it's like I'm spiraling around it like in so many ways, but it's not, I don't necessarily see how it's like propelling me forward into actually getting closer to what I want to do.
Mhm.
Um, and so I think that frustrates me sometimes.
Mhm.
That it feels productive on the inside, like I'm filling all these pages, I'm having all these thoughts, but I'm not actually any closer to launching anything.
Mhm.
Um, and then I add one more thing to it that is just like popping in as a layer. I'm in also a group coaching program at the moment that's all strength based. And so we were just looking at um yeah, my strengths. And there too it came up again, and I already knew this, that they're all um like, especially when I look at the Gallup strength, that they're not in the execution area at all. Like it's all about how I in my head and relations that I have with other people. And that's all wonderful. And those are wonderful features to have and qualities to have. Um, but yeah, it sometimes feels that, but then the execution piece. And like that's such an ADHD thing too, right? But it's like the extra execution is just so hard sometimes, like actually turning it into something. Oh, I'm just feeling my frustration with it. Yeah, it's interesting. Because part of me is like, well, then how can I use my strength to support myself? Like, how can I use, my ability to be self-compassionate or relate to other people or, you know, to think more about it, to like make that happen. But it's like, oh, I don't, I'm, I don't want it to be just so hard all the time. It's annoying.
Yeah, and also just to acknowledge that, and that's also okay, because it is hard and it sounds hard, and especially when you also know it's that there's certain strength that you have, and then there's some sides of you that are maybe you were referring to execution just then, that are not your strongest forte. And even just knowing that and then sitting with all of that, but not getting out of it is hard. So yeah, that sounds like a heavy load of frustration that you're dealing with. And I just wanna check in with you because we've now spent a little bit of time talking further about that topic. Um, and you kind of introduced the session going into potentially two directions. Is that the topic that we're going to stay on?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Let's do it. So you've already
Yay.
touched you've already touched on a couple of things in terms of what a potential good outcome for you would be. But if you think again about what you would like to walk out of the session with today, what would that be?
I actually think there are two potential options. Is one, we could talk about like what is, again, like what's hard about it, and like just listing the blockers and finding ways to
Mhm.
unblock some of these, like in the big picture, like the things that would apply to everything. Like, yeah, like how to execute actually. And then there is a trickier piece, which again is like, it's funny, it's out like the, like the thing that was below the surface, and now there's another thing, really beneath the surface. Which I'm struggling to perfectly articulate because it's been weeks that I've looked at it, but I know one thing that I keep coming up against is the stupid question of who is my audience, or who am I building this for? Who is my customer? And I wonder if that's actually one of the biggest blockers that I have. I don't know if it is, but it might be. And so if that is true, then it might actually also be helpful just to get clear on that.
Okay.
Like, who am I building this for? And now that I'm hearing myself say this, like I'm both like, again, it's that nervousness, but that I don't have the answer yet. And so like the fear of, what if I still walk away later and I still don't know the answer?
Mhm.
Like that would be hard. And also maybe that's energizing, and maybe that's exactly what I need to find the energy again. Yeah. I can tell like how I'm nervous. It's weird I keep saying the word nervous, because it's not like so much, it's not even nervous with you. It's just nervous with like this, the not knowing, that I'm not exactly sure if this is the right path, or I'm not exactly sure what I'm gonna like. I'm now thinking ahead of what I'm going to say to you in just a moment, and I don't know yet what I'm going to say, and that stresses me
Mhm.
out a little bit. Um, but that's also maybe a good sign, that that's exactly where we need to go.
Mhm.
Um, yeah.
Mhm. And just to add to that is that in coaching, it's often the not knowing, like you said, like the things that we really just don't even know where to start, where those are the juicy bits. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's a good way to start something because we're in unknown territory and we're trying to explore. So just to give a bit of a recap, so the two questions or kind of three questions you were asking yourself is that sort of one, what's actually that hard about it? Like what are the blockers? You said you already know a few, but it'd be maybe helpful to list them all out. But then that brought you to, I guess it was one of the blockers, but correct me if I'm wrong,
Mm-hmm.
which is like, who am I actually doing this for? Like, who's my audience?
Mm-hmm.
Who's my customer? And
Mm-hmm.
that brought up a bit of that sort of discomfort that you're describing of
Mm-hmm.
like, it makes me nervous because, and what if I walk out of the session and I don't have the answer?
Mm-hmm.
But maybe it's where I need to go. So I can see you smiling when I just summarize that back at you. What was that? Like what's coming up?
Yeah, it's like, so um I'm thinking back to you asking me in the beginning what I needed from you, and it was so interesting. Like, and so when I said like I want you to challenge me, like I feel like I'm also doing that myself, and I always do that. But it's like I hear myself saying things like, "This is clearly
Mm.
the difficult bit. This is the part where I don't want to go. That's a sign that's where we want to go." And I'm hearing, yeah. And so when you share that back, in that way. Like we could talk about these things, but then there's also this that we could talk about. It's like as if you're challenging me, but also I hear myself challenging myself. So that's just like
Mm,
signal for me that's the right, like wherever I don't want to go, that's where I need to go.
okay. And just because I'm curious, what does that tell you about yourself?
Um, um, it tells me a few things. So number one is that I do challenge myself, and that and I like that about myself, but also sometimes it can flip into me being very hard on myself when I'm just constantly challenging myself. Um, and it tells me how valuable support in a space like this is, because sometimes it's interesting because I've just been writing a lot about support and knowing your needs and what does support look like. And um, when I do these things on my own, that's also sometimes helpful. But again, it just that's what I mean with like it's so much work sometimes just to
Mhm.
push through those things and constantly ask like what's getting in the way? What can I do? What's like I do this all the time and it's exhausting. I mean, it's exhausting and it's yeah, when you're doing it on your own, it just um because you're constantly in that space of unknown. And so what almost gets me emotional a little bit and recognizing here is how nice it is to have, yeah, a support container like this where I don't feel like I'm doing it by myself,
Mm,
you know? Like that even when I say things like, shit, like what if I don't actually have the answer? Then I know I won't sit in it by myself.
mhm.
Like you'll be here for me and we'll figure out a way, you know? Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And those are two, I guess, shall we call them realizations, um, that just through my lens and my observation are really powerful. Um, the sort of awareness that you have about you are challenging yourself and you really liking that, but you also know that could lead into you being really hard on yourself. So that's something to watch out for.
Hmm.
Also really helpful for me to know. And the fact that things are easier, easier, maybe that's the wrong word. Things are, it's important to have a container like this, to have
Hmm.
a sounding board, a space to explore, which is not by yourself, because you're saying you can get so sucked into like trying to figure it all out by yourself and then land in this frustrating point where because you don't know where to go next. Um, and I guess that as a learning is also like it's an important insight that first of all that is there, but also it is really helpful. Um,
Hmm.
thank you for going there with me for a moment. I want to bring it back
Hmm.
now to the actual goal at hand. So we're looking at the sort of question, the challenging question of who's my audience and who's my customer. And I want to ask you, what do you need to address to get there?
I think I need to hear myself say it out loud what I already do know because I feel like I probably know more than I realize. Um, And then I probably need to remind myself that, again, I'm thinking about this like as a pilot. Like, what's this first iteration going to look like? And that I can in the future have different, groups for different people. And I don't need to find like the perfect answer. I just need to find like the first good answer.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think there's one more tension that, like, I know that's also in there that I just need to say. Um, which is the way I'm approaching it is very much like this is going to be group coaching, not a workshop series, not a training. So that would make it a little bit easier almost to specify this. Like if I said, I want to, you know, support folks in connecting to their needs, then I would plan out exactly what the 6 sessions are going to look like. And I would have, you know, exercises and I would have worksheets and I would have probably a bit of facilitation and like training in the beginning on these specific topics and then open up for discussion. Um, but I specifically want it to be an open space where just like here in a one-on-one coaching, it's not like, yes, it would be within a container or within a theme or everybody would kind of be like the people would have something in common. That's like the common area, but where everybody has different goals and different ways that they want to go about it and different um intentions, I guess. Well, also the actions could, you know, look very different kind of week over week. Um yeah, and so I think, and also because this is again the first time also that I'm running something like this, I if that's an underlying thing, that's one of the other blockers that I want to do well, I guess. I almost said want to do right. I don't know if it's about doing right, but I want to do well, that I hold an open enough space without flipping into a facilitation and workshop where I'm doing all the talking. I want other people to be doing the talking
Mhm.
and the thinking, where I'm, creating the space. And so that just makes it really hard then for me to be so particular about who I'm talking to, because it could be so many different versions of a similar thing. I feel like I'm talking so vaguely here, but um yeah. But it's interesting that even now I just heard myself say this, like the example of, let's look at our needs. It would still be like you could run that in two different ways too. You could run that in a here's what needs are, here's what, information, or you could run it in a real coaching series. Yeah.
Mm.
Is that tension between wanting to have like a really clear message, like the marketing stuff that you hear where it's like, know exactly, like, I know you know what I'm talking about, know your audience, like know who you are, I am. Yeah, like even yeah. And that gets this get is what's your niche, be as specific as you can, helping ADHD and autistic women in their early 40s who were late diagnosed in their 30s and are now, I don't know, struggling with X, right? But it's like, I find that limiting and a little bit boring, like in my existing one-on-one work. And so I also don't, yeah. But that's like the messaging, right? If you're gonna create a group coaching program, it needs to be super clear who you are, who is the person, and what is their outcome. Like, what are they gonna get from it? But like that, I struggle with so much too, because I also cannot and don't want to promise any outcome, right? I can promise the space, but I can't promise, you know, in 6 weeks, all of your problems with your needs will be solved and you will be so good at articulating your needs. I can't promise that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. And there's like what I said in the beginning, like the magic of coaching. I also want that to be part of it. Like
Mm.
that magic when it's like, oh shit, I didn't realize we were going here, but I guess we're going here. Um, and like for that interesting stuff to bubble up, like the, the subconscious stuff to bubble up. Like that's where the good stuff usually is.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's hard stuff, but sometimes it's also like, oh yeah, that needed to be brought to the surface so that we can do something about it now. I'm noticing too. I appreciate your pauses because it's like, okay, what else? um, I'm also noticing I'm talking about it in such general terms instead of actually being specific.
What would it be like if you were specific?
Yeah, I mean that's I think the tricky part is because I don't know. So like
Okay.
maybe I'm avoiding the specificity by talking in like general statements, what I find hard.
Mm-hmm. Um, would it help you if I just summarized a little bit because there was quite a lot that you explained then before diving into listing out things.
Um, I actually don't know if it would. Like, I'm more curious as to like where, and if I say I'm curious where you think we should go next, and you're just gonna say, well, where do you think we should go next? But yeah, no, I think those are all things that I'm aware of that just needed to be kind of brought
Hmm.
back to the surface and said out loud. Um, yeah, no, I'm more, yeah, I think I'm more wondering where do we go from here?
Yeah. So in struggling for words, in support of what you were saying earlier about, going to the places that feel hard and going to the sort of unknowns, I want to go back to your comment just then when you said, I'm just talking in such general terms, like I'm not talking in specifics. So if we were to get specific now, if we were to get specific about, you said earlier, I want to know what I already know
Hmm.
and go through this and see what comes up as we do this. Where would you start?
Um, I have my journal here open with again, like there's so much. I've done this exercise like so many times. Like, who's it for? Who's it for? Who's it for? Like keeps appearing on the different pages. So maybe just kind of looking at some of that. Um, and it's so interesting, like even here, when I write down like who is it for, it's so much about like what the space is going to feel like versus what the topic is. So it's like people who are curious, people who want to invest in themselves instead of wanting quick fixes and answers. Um, People who want community and relationships because it's going to be a group, um, but maybe don't quite exactly know what that feels like, or maybe don't want a huge group, but a small group, but also maybe experiment what it's like to be in a small group. Because, like I wrote down, wanting to be in community doesn't mean that it's going to be comfortable. This can also be uncomfortable to be in a group with people, but like still figure that out. People who want to slow down and listen, are willing to get creative and play, try new things. So it's like interest. That's what I keep coming back to. It's like that kind of stuff of just being, yeah, really doing coaching work, but in a group with that group community aspect. And then I keep coming back to like the topic itself doesn't maybe matter so much. And it could be things like I have those written down too, like would be an exploration of identity, especially like whether that is, you know, later in life identification as neurodivergent, or, you know, after burnout or after whatever, like who even am I and what makes me me, and like what does that mean? Um, could be like an ADHD thing of quote unquote adulting, like doing all the I don't know, life stuff. Um, you know, with like unmasking and experimentation and finding things that work and supporting each other and getting things done, but also slowing down, that kind of stuff. Um, could be around energy and self-care and boundaries and that kind of stuff, like how to support yourself. Like there's so many, and those are just some that I have on my list here that I just opened up. Um, yeah, and it's interesting because I feel like the broader, like what I want the space to feel like, I can articulate that pretty well. Um, Not like this wasn't that, but I have, again, like pages and pages written on that. But then it's maybe when I get specific, I'm just so worried about who am I excluding, or am I then too narrow that I'm excluding people that some might not even want to join? And again, that's where like the fear, yep, there's that emotion word. That's like fear comes in, like, what if I create something and then nobody wants it, or one person wants it, and that's great, but that doesn't make a group. Um, and so then it feels safer just to stick with general flow vision for the group instead of potential topics. But I also know that topics is what, like for me too, when I don't join things where it's just about the vibe. The vibe needs to fit, but there also needs to be a here's what you're getting out of it. Yeah. And then part of me is thinking, well, what I could do is I could like just be open and clear about that. Like I could, you know, talk to my, you know, readers on Substack and just ask them the question, like, out of these 5 topics, which one would you want? Or if you're generally interested, join the wait list here, you know, and then continue to build that out. And it's interesting because part of me then is, and it's funny now too, because we're, you know, recording this put on the world, because a part of me doesn't want to share that because I want to seem all professional and be like, this is the thing that I'm doing. Um, which is silly because that's not even like that doesn't to me doesn't even mean what professional is. Um, and that actually feels like a more natural thing to do, like to be in conversation with people that are already in my orbit, to be like, what's there. And then that's the other thing. I already have an empathy map here. Like I wrote down, because I already did some of this work already too. Like I asked them actually, what are you navigating what right now? And quite a few people have responded, either got on a call with me or responded through a form and shared with me what they're navigating. And I have a list of what they're thinking, feeling, saying, seeing, hearing, and doing. There's so much like goodness here. Like there's so many words. And so maybe I just need to look at that again and pick something here. And there it is too. Like it's so when I look at the words, like in the desires, wants, needs section, um, it's not even super specifics in terms of, yeah, they're not specific. They're words like expansive, creative, meaningful, enriching, joyous, engaging, peaceful, spacious, light, joyful, joyful, joyful. That came up so much, so many times, which is really interesting. And yeah. And so again, like coming back to like the challenging bit, like I feel like when I hear myself say this, it's like maybe that's what it's about. Maybe it's not about, how to, like learn how to set boundaries in 6 weeks. But maybe it is about, how do you bring in more joy and be more engaging and be more calm and more creative and have a more meaningful life and it's enriching and peaceful and spacious. Um, but those are also clearly like the harder things. Those are the harder things to ask. And so it's like interesting there to see that parallel because it's also both for this potential group that I'm envisioning, like for those individuals, that's a much more challenging task to figure out for themselves, like each for their own. What does it mean to live a more meaningful life or to bring more joy in my life than to say, I don't know, learn how to set boundaries in 6 weeks. But also, again, like that's where the good stuff is, you know? And
Mm.
if I find a way to articulate that and also be clear about this stuff that it is ideally about, yeah, getting to the unknown, like the same stuff that was hard here for me today, that it is about getting that little bit of layer deeper and doing it with other people and in connection where it's hard, but then also feeling that support like that. Yeah, exactly what we were talking about, the challenge combined with support by me, but also by the rest of the group. Um, yeah, I feel like it's so interesting. On the one hand, I feel like it doesn't sound specific enough still, but also when I talk about it, I see it so clearly what I want those conversations to be like. And it's harder too, because again, it's like this, I can't promise any outcome, but I can promise, the structure and the framework and my competency as a coach. and then trust that other people will bring in whatever they, you know, want to bring in, because that's what it's all about too, right? If I weren't willing to go to the hard places right now, then you could be the most amazing coach today and still not get anywhere because I'm not willing to or ready
Mhm.
to go there. Yeah. I have no idea where we are in time, but I'm feeling like a wrap up, that even if this doesn't sound like super, I got my action plan, I'm clear on what I'm doing. I'm I'm feeling more like, yeah, like there's something here that I can sort out. And like that word of self-trust that I said earlier is coming back in, um, to say maybe, and I also don't want to say I should just have more self-trust, because like, what does that even specifically mean? But like maybe that reminder that when I hear myself say some of these things, that I hear the value, and maybe a lot of people won't, but maybe there's some people out there who are like, yeah, this actually sounds interesting. Like this sounds cool. Um, and if I just, but if I were to articulate that and paint that picture, even if that picture is a little bit like, it is a bit vague, but it's also vague on purpose, because it all depends on what you're all bringing in. Um, Even if that doesn't drive with like the general marketing strategy of how specific your niche and your ideal client needs to be. Um, and I could just see, and I could just put that out there and see what resonates. And if that doesn't resonate, well, then I have information one way or the other.
Mhm.
Yeah. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this empathy map, because this is all, like, it's a full page, all of stuff that other people have said
Okay.
about what they're thinking, feeling, doing, wanting, and such, and turn that into something. I'm not sure what, but that could just be like, whether that's a draft for a, landing page, or, even if this is like, just here's what I know about you, like talking, like sharing that back as if that was like one person, or like you group of people, and see where that leads me. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I feel like we've just done the whole thing. You're like, okay, let's wrap it up. Here's what I'm gonna do. So thank you for concluding the session. No, but but all jokes aside, just to give a little bit of just to reflect back to you of what I
Yeah.
heard, and there was a lot of stuff that you shared.
Yeah.
Because you've done all of the work already, you've got a whole book of
Yeah.
information and thoughts, and all of your juices have been flowing in there. And what I noticed, especially at the end when you were just talking about what you're gonna do, you're gonna
Hmm.
take that empathy map and you're gonna turn it into something you don't know what it is yet, but it's fine, and maybe it doesn't have to be that specific.
Hmm.
You're from where we started earlier again, your not even your language, but the way your cadence, even like the way your voice was flowing, was so much more, well, but that's fine. I can already see the value in what I'm doing here.
Hmm.
So those are my next steps. And maybe I can just say that. It just felt the way you were talking, what I'm trying to say is the way you were talking felt so much more at ease with what is happening.
Hmm.
Did, did that feel the same to you? Did I get that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's helpful to hear you say this, because I didn't realize it, but yeah, um, yeah, the word confident came up for me, maybe less so than ease, but like, yeah, like the reminder of like, yeah, this is like, I got something good. Like I know I'm onto something. I just haven't quite like found how to
Hmm.
articulate it. But that's, yeah, yeah.
And so, I'm sorry, I'm just looking at the time because we want to do a little bit of feedback. I just have sort of one more question to conclude the
Hmm.
session. Is now it's left my brain. um was oh yeah, so because there was a lot of content then that we went through. If you were to summarize in however brief you want it to be, um, today, what's the bottom line for you?
Um, the bottom line for me is actually how helpful this space, a coaching conversation is for me, because like even after like when you talked in the end, like, well, you just sat there and listened, like I walked myself through it. Um, but I couldn't have done that on my own. It was about that, having that space of support, like knowing that you were there if I were to get stuck, like you were right there. You help like I wasn't able to do that in the beginning because I wasn't sure where I was, and then once I'm rolling, then it's like, and that's something maybe to take away for next time too, is for the beginning question, I hadn't thought about this either because I had said I wanted that challenge, but in the end, actually, what I needed is exactly that kind of pause that you gave, and not, and just letting me, go with the next and the next and the next, even if that maybe feels like, what am I even doing here? I'm just sitting listening. But that was actually really helpful that I could just naturally follow my thoughts. But that was once I was in it and kind of unlocked.
Mhm.
Um, and so, yeah, and I mean, I already knew this, how helpful these things are, but that is my bottom line, is less about the specific thing. Or I guess maybe it's also about the specific thing, but it's like when I'm stuck on a specific thing, one of the tools in my toolbox is give you a call. It's like, can you help me
Yeah,
think this through?
yeah, yeah.
I'm stuck. Like, can you help, please? Um, yeah, yeah. And then how, yeah, like I said, I want the magic of the coaching to appear. And that, I feel like that happened too, because it's like, I am now feeling excited. Like we're going once we hang up, I am gonna probably go right back into it and write about it, you
Mhm.
know? So yeah. So it's not only the like, okay, problem solved, unstuck, but like also that energy is back, which is good.
Mhm.
That was a long bottom line, but yeah, that's my bottom line.
There were no rules. There were no rules about how long the bottom line should be or could be. So that's all good. And just to add to that, what you were just saying about the coaching, and I think for anyone that's maybe that might watch this as well, and this is it's truly the beauty of coaching is when you actually have these moments of just exploring what you did, and I didn't say a word,
Hmm.
and that's just for me that shows one of the the things that is being said a lot in coaching, and some people might not know what that exactly means, which is you already have all of the answers within you if you're given enough space to explore. And I feel like that was a great example for that because you were just rolling and going from one thing into another. And there is a caveat here, the fact that we know each other. So I know your signs. I know when you're ready to come back to me, and I know when you're
Hmm.
still in the middle of all of the thinking, and I know you want to finish a thought. And
Hmm.
so obviously there's that. But generally, I think that was a really beautiful example of what can happen. Like you don't even need much of interference or questioning, but what can happen if you're just being let to think out loud.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. We in like the reflect, like this was like that's such a smooth transition. Do we want to take a few
I
moments to
think
like
it was,
reflect on?
yeah, it was a nice little segue.
Nicely done.
Um,
Um,
so yes, please.
yeah, I want to share one moment that really stood out to me, that I appreciate that you went there. It was kind of in the middle when when I said this thing about specificity and like maybe I'm hiding away from it again, and I kind of had it, I said it already, but like yeah, I think that's a trust building moment in that way too, because you just, because I had asked you in the beginning, like whenever I say when things get hard, like lead me to the hard things. And then you did that. Like you could have also said, well, but maybe it's okay if we speak in general terms, da, 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 but you specifically picked up on it and like, well, you said there might be something there, so do you want to go there? And still gave me agency then to say, actually, I don't, or sure I do. But yeah, I think that was a great example of having, yeah, like both well done, but also a great example of like why that conversation in the beginning can be so helpful, you know?
Hmm. Clarifying some rules of
Hmm.
engagement. Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. What was it like for you?
Um,
What are you reflecting?
what am I reflecting? I am reflecting on the fact that, and I don't know why specifically, but today specifically, I realized how much I love reflecting back and just reiterating and summarizing. And um, uh, what I really liked about our conversation was that I think I came to a point where I realized it, and I asked you if it was helpful to do that, and you said no, and it's like, great, that's exactly what needs to happen. So that's sort of,
Hmm.
again, that's sort of that special relationship that you want to develop between a coach and a coachee, for that to be
Hmm.
just as easy as that, to say no,
Hmm.
and then okay, we'll look at something else then. Um,
Hmm.
which I thought, yeah, so that stood out to me. That sort of the sort of ease that that came with, or at least perceived for
Hmm.
me. And also
Hmm.
because I was then, it didn't bother me. I was able to
Hmm.
just be like, okay, cool. Let's go somewhere else without it making it mean
Yeah.
anything about myself. Um, I am also reflecting on one of the other things that you said at the start, which we didn't get into, and I think I had a little wobble in the middle. Um, I was like, oh my God, you gave me so much information. There was so many things in there that I just wanted to grab and be like, oh my gosh, but what does that mean? And should we go
Hmm.
into this direction? But then I got a feeling, and I didn't say this out loud. I don't know if I should have or not, but I just had this feeling that you actually already really knew where you wanted to go, and there was no need for me to potentially tap into something that might cost us time but might not be helpful. So there was like this inkling that I got from you. Um, but it did make me think, because there were a lot of sort of feeling words that you used, and I didn't go
Hmm.
into that. And that was one of the things that you said at the start. If there's emotions, maybe we can dive into that. So I feel like I didn't
Hmm.
do that. Um, whether that was right or wrong, I don't know if that's a thing.
I love that you bring this up because, um, yeah, I had forgotten about this, so all good. But also maybe more importantly, what it did for me is because I had said in the beginning, like, ugh, those annoying feelings are probably going to come up. Every time that I had some sort of feeling, I was more aware of it and like I tagged it. Like whether it was like, feeling emotional when you asked me something about support and, what I'm realizing about myself. But also every time I said, yeah, a feeling word or that I'm feeling frustrated, I tagged for myself to feeling word. And so maybe I didn't even do much with it. And I think it was fine that I didn't. And it could have gone into a different direction where it really was about like, I don't know, fear of what if nobody,
Mm-hmm.
what if nobody likes me? Um, but it actually didn't get to that. But I think we would have if that had become clear. But it made it a bit more, it brought that emotional awareness a little bit in for me, even if we didn't talk about it. So that was still really helpful to have had that discussion. And I think it was fine that we didn't go there. And I so resonate with what you're saying. I have this so often that when I'm the coach, all of a sudden like, oh, there's so much richness. Like, I want to ask about this and this and this, and there's all these paths that we could follow. And sometimes it's like, yeah, like go for it. Like lead me any kind of way or take me down any way that, seems interesting for you. Let's see what's there. But sometimes, yeah, and you're right. Like it was like, for me, it was like following that discomfort. Wherever it was uncomfortable, that's the place to go. And
Mm-hmm.
so maybe that's a takeaway for next time. It's like just, you asked me that
Follow
question.
the discomfort.
Where's the discomfort right now? Where is the discomfort leading you? Um,
It's a good question. Hmm. I would say
yeah,
it's a
and
good
it's not
coaching
always,
question. Yeah.
yeah. And I mean, and sometimes it's like, oh, I don't want to be in discomfort because I'm already,
Of course.
uncomfortable in so many ways. And it's like, I need something else. But then that's back to that contracting of, but I said this in the beginning, I want to go where it's uncomfortable because I
Mm-hmm.
know I will lead, that's for me the way to get the discomfort out of the way. So, yeah. Yeah. And then one last thought about the reflecting back. Um, because I find it helpful sometimes, but sometimes I don't. Just like how you saw here today, like sometimes it's like, okay, it gives me the moment, just like you say it again, you have that gut check, like, yep, this is where we're at. Does this sound right? Are we on the same page? And it also allows me to right away go into, okay, it sparks new thoughts. And in the beginning, when we were still like laying the groundwork, like, where are we? What's the big picture? Where are we going? That was helpful. And I think it was kind of around that moment where that switch happened into, I also started talking more and getting that forward energy, even if I didn't know where that forward energy was going. But then I was like, don't need this anymore. Let's go, like momentum.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so it's interesting that that happened kind of in there.
At
Yeah.
that point. Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, Amazing. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Okay, shall we wrap this up?
Let's wrap it up.
Let's wrap it up. Thank you so much for sharing this space with me today.
Oh, thank you for being here for me.
My pleasure.